Welcome back to Inside Z. I'm your host, Amal Kumar. This is brought to you by Xamarin Solutions, and today we have a special guest, Derick Mildred, a LinkedIn coach, founder of Results Formula, and a pro at turning cold outreach into real leads. If you've been trying to make LinkedIn actually work for your brand, this is the one for you. So, Derick, I just want to thank you for joining me on this podcast.
My pleasure. Great to be here. Thank you, Amal.
Yeah. So, you've been teaching LinkedIn for before it was cool. Can you walk me through the journey? Like, how did you go from marketing guy to LinkedIn lead generation expert?
Okay, first of all, let me ask you, when did LinkedIn become cool? I'm interested.
I
What are you hearing?
I'd say what I'm thinking is I'd probably say within the last couple of years I've been hearing more about it.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't really been on the application until recently, until people kept talking about it. I don't know what made it so popular now,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty good way to put yourself out there in a very professional setting.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool in my opinion.
There's a reason that I asked this is because, as many of us know, Microsoft purchased LinkedIn approximately 5 years ago now for memory, $27 billion. Okay. And I first initially opened up my account on the platform way back in 2004. So this year, very soon, in a couple of months' time, I will be celebrating my 21st year on LinkedIn. Having said that, even though I was one of the first 2 million to sign up for the platform, there's over 1 billion subscribers right now and over 58 million companies, corporations, and businesses on the platform. Even though I was one of the first 2 million to sign up for it, admittedly, I did very little with it until 2013, when a friend of mine walked into the office and she said then that she had just heard LinkedIn described as the professional or the business version of Facebook. And I thought, that sounds interesting. Maybe I should have another look at that. So I found my old original login details, logged in to discover in 2013 that I had a low 207 connections. And I just started looking around the platform, looking for people who I could see appeared to know what they were doing. And I modeled myself on two of them and learnt a lot from those two. And now I've gone on to having almost 95,000 followers, 27,000 out of 30,000 connections, 300 plus recommendations. I've got a company page with over 22,000 followers. And it's just grown and taken off for me. And interestingly, I've also made some amazing friendships all over the world as a direct result of this cool platform. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So hold on, let me get that right. So what you said, 95,000
Yeah,
like
just short of
followers.
95,000.
So you had like 200 something back in like 2013
Yep.
or and then 95. That's a really big jump. I mean, at 2013, that's what 12 years ago. That's pretty huge though.
Yeah.
That's a lot of followers.
Well, it's interesting because at first, in probably the first 5 years, there's a thing called LinkedIn jail. And there's several different ways that you can wind up in LinkedIn jail. And I wound up in it a couple of times. This is when they put restrictions on your account. And one of the things that I asked back then was, I could see there were people with 5,000 connections and 10,000 connections and even more. And I thought to myself, well, I'd like that too. And so I just started connecting with as many people as I could. And I got myself into strife for that. So I learned a lot of things the hard way. I learned a lot of things through trial and error and literally doing the wrong things and winding up in LinkedIn jail with restrictions on my account, which eventually they removed, provided that you behave yourself. And so I learned what didn't work, and then by doing the opposite to that, I started to learn what did work.
So like during that time, I always wanted to know this. Did they have like paid versions too of LinkedIn? Because you have to pay for some of the features now if you want like a good
There are
version of it.
there are a couple of different subscription models. One of them is called LinkedIn Premium, and the other one is called Sales Navigator. There are several different levels of Sales Navigator. Um, I did a lot with a free account for Probably my first 5 years on the platform, from 2013 onwards, I should say. My first 5 years of really working the platform. And then I started to subscribe to Premium. One of the things that Premium does is it gives you a little bit of extra search functionality, but the real benefit from LinkedIn Premium is that you can see everybody or close to everybody who has recently viewed your LinkedIn profile. And there could be easily potential leads for you and your business in amongst those people viewing your profile. They're curious. They're viewing your profile for a reason.
Yeah, so I want to know what made you double down on LinkedIn specifically. When you when so many people were distracted by Instagram and Facebook ads and other platforms, like what made you double down on that specifically?
Um, okay, so Facebook uh, has the best advertising platform, bar none, on the planet. And that includes Instagram. As we know, Facebook owns Instagram. And so if you're putting an ad up on either, you're doing it via the same platform. And with all the data that Facebook has through both of them, it's a great platform for advertising. LinkedIn, on the other hand, has a community. And that's a big difference. Facebook has more users, more subscribers, but for some reason, the community on LinkedIn, or in my experience anyway, um, it's just a closer, tight knit community, far more willing to help you, far more willing to answer any questions that you might have, set up calls just like this one. It's I've made a lot more friends via LinkedIn than I have on Facebook, even though many of them I'm connected to on Facebook. I've done much more with LinkedIn. The other thing too with LinkedIn is you can customize your profile a lot more than what you can on the other platforms, and you can do pretty much anything you want with it.
Yeah, and I like to think of like the algorithm as well. I mean, there's different, right? The way you view things, and on LinkedIn, like I think I mentioned to you this before on our previous conversation. I actually have my resume
Mm-hmm.
on my actual LinkedIn page, like in my own featured tab.
Yeah.
So you can't. I don't think you can do that in Facebook. But like it has like its own bells and whistles that I really love about it. You know.
It's originally LinkedIn was set up to complement people's resumes. So you could set up a profile that would complement your resume, and that was solely for job seekers. Okay, that was the original thought or process behind the platform as they set it up initially. Then what happened was marketers and people in business development got hold of it and thought, hang on, there's some opportunities here. And it's been growing on the business side of it ever since. That was one of the reasons they bought in Premium and Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator, just the title alone says enough in itself. And so it's a sort of a two-sided platform. There's the side of the platform which supports people in job search, and then there's the other side of the platform where there's opportunities for people to build, grow, and scale their business.
Right. I know I sent you like the list of questions that we're going through, but there's a couple of questions that generated in my mind. Specifically, I've tried to get jobs through LinkedIn before,
Yep.
but I feel like it's kind of hard to do so. I talked to someone else about this too, but I want your advice on this. What am I doing wrong? Like what are ways that I could actually improve on standing out within my job searches for LinkedIn?
First of all, make sure your profile gets the message across about what you do, what you're passionate about, the industry that you want to go into or that you're looking to get into, and try to have some things on your profile that are relevant to that particular industry. Okay, and so the other thing too is, of course, go into the jobs tab regularly and try to make sure that your profile complements your resume. And also, the other thing that you can do is look for particular companies that you might be interested in working for, and try and set up a relationship with people within those particular companies.
Do you think like Do you think LinkedIn tracks how many times you go through your job searches, like looking up job searches? Do you think that that's a
Absolutely.
thing that they do? Okay.
Absolutely. You can download your LinkedIn data and it'll tell you most of that.
I haven't looked through it, so I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm still fresh on LinkedIn. I'm still learning.
You can download your data.
Yeah.
Just go into settings and there's a section in there where you can download. Yeah.
So there's this idea that LinkedIn is just, people pitching each other in the DMs. From your experience, what are most people doing wrong with that?
Okay. Basically, there's an unwritten rule on LinkedIn when using LinkedIn for business. And that unwritten rule is you don't or you never sell on LinkedIn. Okay. Hence, people pitching inside the DMs. Now, the reason that practice is pretty much frowned upon, number one, is the way that it's being done. And two, it's too early in the conversation. Okay, that's the basics of it. It's too early in the conversation. And so what is literally happening is when you receive a pitch inside your inbox, you have probably never had a conversation with that person before. You may be connected to them, you may not, because you can have an open profile now where pretty much anybody can message you. And you can receive a pitch inside your inbox. You haven't had a conversation with that person before. You don't know them from Adam. And next thing you know, you're getting this pitch that's trying to sell you something, and they don't even know if you want it or if you need it. Okay. And so most people's reaction to that is, oh my God, not another one. Okay. Or something like that. And so the people who are doing those pitches are basically trying to do it as a numbers game. The more they send out, and it's just a copy and paste job, they're hoping to eventually get one that's going to bite or go ahead and purchase from them. And that's completely the wrong approach. There are many different people who are doing extremely well on the platform by doing the opposite of that. And that is they use LinkedIn as a tool to get the conversation started. With that conversation started, they establish, build, and nurture a professional relationship via the conversation, via the messaging inbox. And then when the time is right, they take the conversation away from LinkedIn. Okay. And it's during that conversation away from LinkedIn, and it can be just a casual conversation where they might go into more detail about the products or services or solutions that they provide, the fees that they might charge, etc. And many of us in business know that the best salespeople in the world, they don't sell. They just talk to people. Okay. And so when you've got that person on the other end of a Zoom call, you've taken the conversation away from LinkedIn. If you just talk to people, you've got a better chance of getting a sale. Okay. I actually say to people at the end of my messages, P.S., if it's okay with you, I'd like to keep the Zoom call in the no sales pitch zone. And I'm saying that for two reasons. One, I don't want a sales pitch from them. And two, I don't want them thinking that I'm going to give them a sales pitch either.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always this idea like sell, sell, sell. That's what you hear a lot. And that the advice on just talking, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
I guarantee you probably still get messages like this every day, I assume, right? With the amount of followers,
I get them every week.
that you have. And
I get them every week. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Thankfully, not every day, but I get them every week. Yeah.
Must be pretty annoying.
Yeah. Look at it this way. If you ever go to an open market where they sell fruit and vegetables, okay, and I'm not talking about ones where they're run by the supermarket chains or anything like that. I'm talking about the greengrocer open markets, and you've got people in there pitching. They're yelling at the top of their voices the price they have on bananas or the price they have on apples, etc. I don't know if you have that in the States, but we certainly do have that here in Australia. The one thing I can tell you about all of that high pressure pitching is those people are not driving Porsches and Ferraris. Yeah.
It it's sometimes it's kind of hard to get what you want to say across to someone else through a message, and it makes me wonder. Like you said, talking is a really good way to get your point across. But I want like an example. Like, what does an actual compelling message or strategy sound like? Can you break down like the autonomy of a good outreach message that does not feel spammy?
Make it sound how you would say it. Okay. So read
Okay.
back over it and polish it, perfect it, work it until you get it right. Okay. But make it read as you would say it. Don't keep it formal. Don't make it like a formal introduction letter or a formal sales pitch introduction letter or anything like that. Just try to keep it as casual as possible.
You just want to talk to them. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
Yeah.
That's that's gold, honestly. I mean, as Xamerins, we come through a lot of messages, a lot through LinkedIn, and most of them, they're copy and paste like spam. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like, when we read them. So hearing that actually works huge.
Yep. And
So you,
occasionally you'll get one that's been copy and pasted, or you'll get one that's been automated. And even though LinkedIn frowns upon automation and the use of automated platforms, um, and the person sending it has made some kind of error, and the name field hasn't filled out properly, or they've got the wrong name in there. So imagine you receive a copy and pasted message and it's got someone else's name in it. Now
yeah,
there are some people out there sometimes who will have some fun with that, and they'll reply back to it and say, "Well, my name is," or something like that. So, yeah, it's not a good way to get a conversation started using that kind of approach. Is my point.
so basically, you got to be more careful
Yeah,
when even setting up. You got to be thoughtful.
yeah.
You can't just be a robot and just do this and that and this, and you actually got to put thought in what you're doing.
And
If you really cared,
if you want to be
go ahead.
completely strategic about it, open up their profile first and look for a mutual area of interest and mention that mutual area of interest in your message. And it could be a recent post. Okay. Could be the college or university you went to, or the sport that you enjoy, or whatever it might be. But look for that mutual area of interest and mention that in your comment to them or your message to them.
So you've coached businesses you coached businesses and entrepreneurs, um, through your results formula system.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what the behind the scenes looks like with that?
Sure. I have a online course which is called Linked Into More Business. I have a content masterclass which is called Linked Into More Business Content Masterclass. Coaching support, 6 weeks coaching that goes with the course plus 12 months of ongoing support. So basically, there's a lot there for anybody who wants to build, grow, and scale their business using the world's #1 B2B platform, LinkedIn.
How long have you been doing that?
I first decided that I wanted to create the course probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And when I first created the course, actually, one of the things that I did was I pulled out a pen and paper and I asked myself a really important question for me anyway. And that question was, if I wanted to buy the world's best LinkedIn for Business course, what would I want in it? And I was pretty experienced at LinkedIn by this time. And so I started writing down all of my ideas, everything that I thought the world's best LinkedIn for Business course should have in it. And that list became my things to do list. And many of those titles became chapter titles in the course.
Like, did you make like little goals of like, okay, I want to put this in here in this day, and I'm gonna like, make sure I have this filled out on this day, and you literally went all out, and then I
It, it,
assume so.
it wasn't so much a list with time periods or time frames on there, because what literally did happen was I'd be working away on creating one particular chapter or one particular module, and then I'd think, oh, okay, I need another chapter on this, or I need another module on that. And so that list grew as I was creating the course. And then what literally happened, I had narrated videos, so screen grabbed narrated videos with a PowerPoint intro, index, and then an outro in summary, etc. And then the video is in the middle of the PowerPoint. And then I finished putting together what I wanted to do, and then I showed it to a friend of mine in the US whose opinion I respect greatly, and she said to me, the top course creators these days are now all doing narrated PowerPoints. And so I went from having screen grab videos in the middle of PowerPoints to complete narrated PowerPoints. Now, at the time, I buried my head in my hands because I knew exactly what it meant. It meant I had to start all over again. But having started all over again and rebuilding it with narrated PowerPoints from start to finish, it was actually much easier, because if you can imagine that the platform changes and has changed over time. So a narrated screen grab video from a couple of years ago might not be relevant today. Okay, so the whole course is built on narrated PowerPoints, and it presents extremely well. And I've got some great feedback on it. And people say that they also love the fact that you can also download a PDF of the PowerPoint and use that as checklists, use that to go back over specific points if you want to, etc. So it presents very nicely, and there's some great information in there that's all tested and proven.
So you said you've been doing like LinkedIn work for 21 years. I'm going to turn 22 within like the next couple of days, 2-3 days, right? So that means that's 2004. I was born 2003, so that's 2004. So
yeah,
what?
October 2004.
I think LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, I think it's been around since what, 1998, if I'm correct.
No, it was actually launched in 03.
It was launched in 03. Okay. That's wow.
It was the original.
Okay,
it was the first social media platform without it even knowing that. Because originally it was just a website where people could actually have a profile to support their resume in job search. And then years later it started to have the makings of a news feed, and then it's just grown from there.
So it was it right before Facebook?
Oh yeah.
Or after?
Yeah.
Right before. Okay.
Yeah. Facebook first.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
But having said that, Facebook, according to the movie, in its own way, I almost started off as a dating site. That was the initial idea, and then it just matured and grew from there. LinkedIn is far from a dating site. In fact, any kind of dating approaches are very frowned on by the platform and the community on there.
Yeah, I want to know then, like, you're very invested in LinkedIn, and that's basically part of your life. It practically is your life, right? What was life like prior to you and LinkedIn?
I was building websites. I built websites for about 14 years, and I was also optimizing those websites. I was guaranteeing to get them onto page one on Google. I had clients all around Australia, people I'd never met. I was doing the whole lot via mail and telephone call. And then what literally happened was I got onto LinkedIn, and one of those two people that I mentioned earlier that I started modeling myself on, she was posting a lot of articles. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll start writing articles about what good websites should have. And those articles started generating leads for me. And so I started doing more of that. I wound up doing articles every week, and for a time period there. And they generated leads for me, that generated business. I was building websites, and I went from doing a mail out of 50 letters and following those up with 50 phone calls and getting the phone slammed down on me several times just to try and get one or two deals for a website, to doing everything via LinkedIn.
I feel like that's not a really standard way of doing like a regular, like it's not a regular job, that you're doing like actual freelancing entrepreneurial stuff even back then, which is really, really cool. So like, let's say, someone is listening, let's say someone is listening is a founder or like a creative like freelancer, right? They have a LinkedIn profile, but they have no idea where to start. What is the first thing they should do or like fix like today when actually trying to start and do that? Because I kind of want to learn this.
Okay, so there are 4 areas of your LinkedIn profile that a prospect or a potential lead for your business will notice immediately when they first open up your profile. So the first one is your banner image. Okay. The second one is your face pic. The third one is your headline. And the fourth one is your featured section. Okay. So those 4 areas, and then they've got your about section and your experience sections. So you want to think along the lines of the WIIFT formula, as I call it, which stands for what's in it for them. Okay. So if you're in business and you want to create a profile that demonstrates to your target market what it is that you do, what it is that you offer, the products, the services, solutions, etc. So you want to think about, okay, who's going to be reading your profile and what do they want to see? Okay. And what they want to read is what's in it for them. That's the important part. So what you have is, instead of having a lot of sentences and conversation that starts off with the word I, you change that to the word you.
Okay. Is it like when you're doing like the bio, like the about me section, like I'm still trying to figure this out. Like I don't know if it's too much. Am I saying too much in my about section? Because I kind of like you have to click more to actually look at it. Because I feel like there's a lot that I can do that I can showcase, and I want them to know that. But I don't know if I'm doing too much with it, and I just don't know how I'm doing it correctly.
Okay, so you're allowed 2,600 characters in your about section. You want to try and use as many of them as you can, and importantly, at the end, have a call to action and your contact details. I'm a firm believer in making it as easy as possible for your audience to be able to reach out, to be able to get in touch with you after they've just read all about you and what you do, what you offer, and how you can help them. And you do the same in your experience section as well, although in your experience section, you're only allowed 2,000 characters instead of the 2,600. But think along the lines of what's in it for your audience. Try to give them a reason to want to read further and to ultimately want to reach out and get in touch to find out more about you and what you offer.
So that's cool, but I also want to know. Okay, the banner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, I have like my job like I have like Amal Kumar, like audio engineer slash music producer, and then I have my school, which is like on my right, Full Sail University, and then like my logo's in the middle of the banner, and then like my little slogan, like want 'em all, get 'em all, or something like that. I
Yep.
I think I have it on there. You know, is that a good way? Is that like a good example of a banner? Do you have any examples that you can explain to me for like a banner?
Okay, so with your banner, recently, 4 or 5 months ago, whatever it was, LinkedIn allowed people to have up to 5 banners. Okay, so if you have a look at mine, you can see there's actually 5 different banners there, right? And
Hmm.
each one of those 5 different banners describes a different service. And you can click on those banners and you can stop them scrolling. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, with your particular banner, Amal, I would ask you the question: are you looking? What's your objective with your LinkedIn? Is it to help you get your next job? Is it to launch a business? Is it to promote your podcast? What's your objective?
Well, my objective is to help grow my business within audio.
Okay.
And this is just a bonus. This podcasting, it's a little extra of what I can do for others in terms of audio and like how it sounds and things like that. Videography, this is also another thing. I'm not super into it, but I actually am editing this podcast. I'm like, going through adding little graphics here and there,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and just showcasing what I can do, even though it's not my primary line of work. It just it's like I'm a Swiss Army knife. A little. Does that make sense? I
Sure.
don't know. I can do like these little things here and there, but yeah, my primary thing is just promoting my business. That's what I'm trying to do on LinkedIn.
Okay. Now, what is Full Sail University?
So basically, Full Sail University is a film arts school. So basically, I went there to earn my education in recording arts. That's my degree name, and basically that's mixing and mastering audio.
Okay.
And also I'm doing my master's degree at the same exact school. I'm about to wrap up here within the next like 3 4 months, and that's within what is it, business, sorry, entertainment business. That's what my degree is called. So I'm learning how to build my business and grow. And I just started not too long ago with my actual business back in like January 2025. So I'm
So
just learning on the fly.
anybody in the audio industry or the music industry, the recording industry, would they know what Full Sail University is?
They should. I think they would be able to know. A lot of people know that school. Some people try to get into this school, but they can't.
Okay,
So it just depends.
right.
But a
So
lot of people do.
then the only thing that I would have in your banner image would be something about the area of audio engineering or music producing that you want to get into or want to specialize in. Okay, because right now it reads audio engineer, music producer, Full Sail University, want them all, get them all. And then there's amalkaudio.com. But there needs to be a USP in there, a unique selling position or ultimate strategic position that highlights the benefits that you're offering to your target audience.
Like a CTA in a way, like a call to action.
You can have a call to action, but I'd say you still need a USP in there that highlights the benefit to your
Okay.
audience.
See, that's something I need to figure out. I haven't gotten that far. I need to think about that. And
Think
that's
about
and
the
then you.
elevator pitch. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, if you were stuck in an elevator with one of the world's leading producers, okay,
Mhm.
in one sentence, one short, concise sentence, what would you say to him or her to get the point across about what you do? That's your elevator pitch. One
Mhm.
short, concise sentence. Because
Yeah.
you've got that elevator's going down to the ground floor, and you've got 5 floors to go down. That's how much time you've got to say that sentence.
Like you want me to say it like now? I don't. I can
No,
probably
just think
think of
about it and
something.
work on it.
Yeah, I actually have to think about it because I want to make. Because now, if that actually happens, I really got to think about what I'm going to say. I can't because I don't want to freeze up. I can't miss that opportunity and freeze up.
Well, this is what you
And I
want
don't
to
think
have in
anybody
your
wants
banner
to.
image for the simple reason that when somebody opens up your profile, remember they've got that mouse in their hand. Okay. And online behavior is very interesting. And we do this a lot with Google. When we're scrolling through Google, when we're searching for things, if we see anything that creates doubt, negativity, or skepticism, we haven't got time to look further and sort it out. We just click on our mouse and go next.
Mm.
Okay. And it's exactly the same with LinkedIn. When somebody opens up your profile, you got to grab their attention. Otherwise, they'll go next.
So like I'd probably say something that describes what I like to do, like what I do, or like I like to
Describe
do,
what you
and
do
I'd
with the
probably
benefit to them.
basically I'd probably say something like I like to make music that's next level, like that's to the next level. I know it sounds kind of
It's starting to
right
get there.
now, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking of right now.
Starting
And
to.
I'm not trying to I'm not trying to get steer away from the original conversation about LinkedIn,
That's all right.
but I mean it's a good thing to think about though because this is literally in the banner. Like so,
Yep.
like you got to think about what how are you going to captivate your audience? And
And
that's
then
a
you can
great
elaborate on that in your headline. So right now your headline just reads audio engineer. Okay, he's an audio engineer. Tell me something I don't know. Tell
right.
me something to
So,
need to read further. Tell me
but
something
then
that's going to have me thinking to myself, I need to know more about Amal.
but then the thing is, don't you? Isn't that where like the featured tab is for, or is it not? Because I'm a resume's in there, and like that's what it shows.
In your headline, you want to have, here's what I recommend to people with their headlines, and it's a formula, and it starts with I help X, and you add your target audience, achieve Y, and then you add their most desired result, with my Z, and then you add your product, service, or solution, and then culminating with some social proof. So case studies, testimonials available, something like that.
I'm actually writing this down. So I
help
and
X.
then yep,
You add
achieve
your target
Y.
audience, achieve Y, and you add their most desired result.
So I help X something. My target audience. What was that? My target audience.
I help X in brackets add your target audience.
Okay. Target audience.
Achieve Y, and then in brackets add their most desired result.
Achieve Y. Letter Y.
Then
what
with my Z, with Z, and then in brackets, you add your product, your service, or your solution.
With Z.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little slow right now. with Z parentheses.
Achieve Y with Z.
With Z.
Z.
And then parentheses after.
So Z is your product, your service, or solution.
Product, service, solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the basics of your LinkedIn profile headline. I help X achieve Y with Z.
See, this is actually very valuable information. I'm actually writing. You're making me actually write stuff down.
Yeah.
I don't think actually I've ever needed to do that. I mean, I've done that, but like, you know, it's like, dang, I really need to do this. I really need to grow my brand. I need to put myself out there more.
Yep.
This is the best way to do it. You know,
yep.
That's pretty awesome. So I want to thank you for that.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Happy to help.
Yeah, and you know, we're not done with the podcast episode yet, but I mean, if I can reach out, would I be able to like casually? Like, I'm not like talking about like, oh, like, can you help me to blah, like do this and this and that and that, and like just like brief stuff.
Yes,
if possible. Okay,
yep.
Cool.
Yep, not a problem.
So, where was I on the okay? So, and what about someone who is doing okay, like in terms of like they're doing well on LinkedIn and they just, you know, they have like maybe a couple hundred views or likes, but they're not converting. What is the missing piece out of everything?
When you say they're not converting, first of all, the question that needs to be asked there is define converting or define conversion. Okay, so what's their objective? All right. And in many cases, when people are not converting, it can be one of two things. Usually they're not taking people away from the platform. Okay, so they're not taking that conversation away from LinkedIn. Okay, or if they get the conversation away from LinkedIn, they're not closing. Okay, now I had one particular, and this, I promise you, this is a true story. I had one particular client who was not converting. And I asked her, I said, so you're getting people away from the platform, you're getting people onto Zoom, you're doing your phone calls. What clothes are you using? And her reply was, what am I wearing? I'm serious. I'm not joking. I wish that was a joke or a punchline, but that's a true story. And so then I had to explain to her about closing. She wasn't closing. Yeah, but she literally did reply with, what am I wearing? So, okay.
That's good. I never heard that mindset.
Yeah, I promise you that's the God's honest truth. That
is wild. That is wild. Without revealing too much, like how would you close like a brief way? Like how would you do it in like layman's terms? I guess
the easiest close in the world is, so what do you think?
So what do you think?
Yeah. So what do you think?
Then, like,
would you like to work together?
Right. And then that's where you set up with the meeting, like, oh, like, would you be able to like work on this certain date, blah blah, like work, like, would you be able to like talk it, or like continue further on this date, blah, blah.
There's also a rule of closing it, and that is when you have that conversation away from LinkedIn and you're talking about their needs and interrelating those with the services that you provide, okay, and so you've got some synergy there, and then you get to the stage where you want to close. When you ask a closing question, so what do you think, or would you like to work together, or would you like to continue to work together, or something like that, okay, there's a golden rule, and that is that you shut up and listen. Okay, the first to talk loses, and that's the rule. Okay, and I'm not saying they're going to lose in a particular way. It's just that's the closing strategy or the closing technique, and it's been around for years. And so what you literally do is you say, so what do you think? And then you don't say a word.
Nothing.
You wait for them to reply. Okay.
And you don't
what they
respond.
reply to you with will then indicate where you go next in the conversation. Okay.
Do you think?
But that's the key.
So do you think like another good closure would be like, what are the next steps, or is that too to me?
Would you like to know more about the next steps?
Okay, so like that's a good way to think about it. It's like,
Yeah.
what's next, or like, would you like to know more about the next steps?
Yeah. Well,
And
shall
then
we discuss the next steps? Shall we discuss the steps in working together?
And then they say yes or no or whatever, blah blah, and then right after that's when, and that's like you can tell like, okay, can we continue this on this day, blah blah, and then they just say yeah, sure, and that's a good way to lead off.
You'll find also that in some cases, depending on what the industry is, you'll find that women can be better closers than men. Okay. And there's a psychological reason for that. And that's because men have been usually rejected a lot more than what women have. And you just walk into any bar on a Saturday night and you'll see it's going on left, right, and center. He's just got rejected. He's just got rejected. She's doing the rejecting. She's doing the rejecting. Oh, no, she's happy with him. And so depending on the industry, sometimes women can be much better at closing than men. But the key with closing is to just ask the question and then you do not say a word. You wait for them to reply.
Okay.
That's the key.
That's lit. Well, Derick, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. I learned so much from you here today. And is there anything else you'd like to add for us?
Yeah, actually, I'll finish off by just sharing a quick story with you. I was around your age. I was about 21, 22 many years ago. This is actually back in the 80s. And I was on a holiday to the US. I was staying with an auntie and uncle of mine. And he was an uncle by marriage, actually, thank God. And he was also an alcoholic. And I was 22 or 21 at the time. I just wanted to enjoy my life, not upset anybody, have a good time, make friends, so to speak. And I was also a little bit introverted. And I was worried about, subconsciously, I was worried about what other people would think, okay? And a lot of us are impressionable at that age. And so my uncle saw this in me, and one night he had a few too many whiskeys in him, and we're in the middle of a conversation, and straight out of that conversation, he looked at me and he said, "You seem like a reasonably intelligent person. Do you make mistakes very often?" And I looked at him and I thought, and I said, "Well, no, I don't think so. Why?" And he said, "Well, you just made a big one." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "You just mistook me for somebody who actually gives a damn about what you think." And the first time I heard that, the first time I was on the receiving end of that, made me feel about this big. And during the 3.5 months that I stayed with this uncle and auntie in Denver, Colorado, I was on the receiving end of that spiel, so to speak, probably about half a dozen times. And we had some arguments over it. I didn't like the way I was being treated, etc. And I didn't realize it at the time. In fact, it took a while for it to really hit home. but I didn't understand the lesson that he was trying to teach me. Okay. And what he was trying to teach me was don't worry too much about what other people think, because guess what? They're not worried about what you think. Okay. And when that lesson of his eventually hit home with me, it turned out to be one of the best lessons that I've ever learned in my life. Because what literally happens is when we're worried too much about what other people think, guess what happens? It holds us back. It restricts us. It holds us down. And we wind up not having the courage to put that one step forward, to do things, to try things, to have a go. Okay. And so I guess that's the real lesson learned, and is don't worry about what other people think. Just try and keep on trying until eventually you achieve the results that you want.
That's really great advice. I just want to thank you so much for leaving us with that. It's great, great, great advice. Oh my gosh. You stood your ground, and basically you can be anywhere. It doesn't matter what age you are, right? As long as if you just put yourself out there and you do what you believe in and you take other little pieces of advice just with a little grain of salt, right? You take that and you just apply that to life. That's basically what life
Yeah.
is. That's how I think of life. That's how you think of life, obviously. And that's something I'm going to do here today. Like that lesson, about just keep sticking it forward. Just keep going. Just keep your head up.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
If you
that's amazing.
if you look at the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet, okay, the Richard Bransons of this world, um, and if you study them, if you listen to them, their podcasts, their interviews, etc., they will all tell you that the reason they are as successful as they are is because they failed more times than anybody else. Now, what they mean by that is every time they fail, they look at that as a learning opportunity. They've just learned a direction that didn't work. So what do? They change the direction until they find an approach. They find the direction that actually works for them, that helps them to achieve their objective. And so we learn from our mistakes. We learn from our failures. And by doing that, we step forwards.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining me on this podcast here
My pleasure.
again. And yeah, I think that's it. That's gonna cover it for today.
All right.
And yeah, well, take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Of course.